Welcome back to OnToReviews. All week we've been testing out Cuisinart's homemade ice cream makers, and we did do a review on this one. It's the 1.5 cup Cuisinart ice cream maker for $69.95 on Amazon, and it did a pretty good job for the price, I will say. Now I wanted to put this to the test. There are several recipes online that says you can make sorbet at home just using your food processor. So we're gonna make lemon sorbet, and I'm gonna use the Cuisinart 7 Cup Pro Classic food processor that I've also reviewed. We'll link that below. And then we're gonna make the lemon sorbet using the ice cream maker, and we're gonna see, is it worth investing in an ice cream maker, or are some of the gadgets that you already own sufficient? So stay tuned, let's get on to reviews and let's put this to the test. So let's get started and let's make the food processor lemon sorbet first. We're gonna make a recipe that I found that was specifically for this food processor, and then we're gonna mix all those ingredients together, and I'm gonna freeze it ahead of time, and then I'll make the lemon sorbet recipe as per Cuisinart's instruction manual, and then we'll take both out and compare the two and see which one did a better job. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so for the food processor, I prepped the ingredients. We made some simple syrup using a 1-to-1 sugar ratio. We let that cool down, and while we were doing that, I zested a lemon using this microblade zester, and then we squeezed lemons to make 2 cups of fresh lemon juice. I'm gonna pour this into our measuring bowl, and we're gonna add about 5 cups of ice. So I'm going to add this in batches to the Beast blender, which we reviewed last week as well, just to get a slush as per the recipe. And now I'm gonna pour that into my loaf pan, and then we're gonna cover it with saran wrap and freeze it for a few hours. Okay, now that's been frozen, we'll take it out of the freezer. We're gonna process this in the food processor and see how that turns out. It looks like it's giving us a good slushy consistency. However, there are chunks of ice that are left behind that the Beast couldn't grab, and also the food processor. But overall, the consistency seems pretty nice. Let's pour that into the Zaccato sorbet container. We're gonna put this back in the freezer and see how it turns out for a long-term freeze. So we froze the bowl for about 24 hours, and there's no liquid shaking in there, so it's pretty stiff and ready to go. We're gonna start by making the simple syrup. We're gonna heat that up and let it cool completely before we add it to the ice cream maker. I will say this is the most amount of sugar I've used in probably 2 years this week, but it's definitely worth it, and it's nice to make homemade treats in the house. Again, I think the benefit is that you can regulate your sugar intake. I'm just gonna give that a little stir, and then we're gonna add it to the heat and infuse the sugar into the water, and then we have a simple syrup. Okay, now that that is cooking, I'm gonna make the zest from the lemon. You wanna do that before you squeeze the lemon, because it will make it hard to get the zest if you have already squeezed lemons. It won't have the firmness that you require. Put this in the measuring bowl. Okay, let's get our lemon juice. So our Chefin lemon squeezer. I think I need to find something a little bit more quicker if we're gonna make more of this lemon sorbet. So if you have any suggestions, please comment below and let us know what you'd like us to see review next in terms of lemon squeezing. But so far this has been a go-to in our home for many, many years. It's dishwasher safe and pretty easy to clean. You actually probably don't wanna add the lemon zest to this if you are using a squeezer like this, because I can see some of the seeds are getting through the holes here. So I'm gonna have to manually pull those out because we don't want those in our sorbet. Okay, I can hear the simple syrup is boiling now, so I'm just gonna give it a little stir, and we're gonna cool that down so we can start the process. Okay, so the simple syrup has now cooled down to room temperature. I poured the lemon juice into this bowl here, and I strained out the seeds that came through. We're gonna add the simple syrup together to the lemon juice, and then I'm just gonna give it a little stir to incorporate all the ingredients. We'll pour this into the ice cream maker. I've frozen this for over a day now. I'm gonna turn this on for 25 minutes, and we'll come back and see how our lemon sorbet turned out. So this has been on for 25 minutes now, process is done, and I pulled this out of the freezer 15 minutes prior as per the recipe, and we're gonna compare now and see which one is better. All right, this is a little bit wet. So I think that this needs to go back in the freezer to harden up a little bit. Let's take a look at this one. This is like sort of like a granita, I will say. Before I froze this, it had a similar consistency to this. It was actually a little bit better, but it did have ice chunks in it. So the overall consistency wasn't close to a sorbet. Whereas this one, because we're not blending it with the ice, it is a smoother consistency. So as you can see, this is like a granita. We'll give it a shot. So yeah, I wouldn't say this is a comparable sorbet. I'm not sure I'm impressed with the food processor recipe. This, however, has a nice sorbet consistency. And I do think freezing it a little bit longer will kind of tighten it up a little bit, but you don't want to freeze it, I would say, overnight. This is something that I would make for a party, which is nice because it takes 25 minutes to do so. You could make this just before your guests arrive and then throw it into the freezer to freeze up. And then when dessert time is ready, I would say that this would be a nice consistency. So far I will say investing in an ice cream maker is definitely worth it. The food processor recipe didn't really do the trick in my books. I would definitely invest in this ice cream maker. This is the 1.5 quart. If you want something a little bit bigger, we did review a 2 quart Cuisinart option. That would do the trick. And if you want something that is a little bit more convenient in terms of not needing to pre-plan and freeze the base of the ice cream maker, you could invest in the Cuisinart dessert maker that has the compressor unit where you can go straight to just making ice cream with no pre-freezing required. We'll link the playlist below of all the ice cream makers that we have done, and you can also see all the different recipes that we have tried. Thanks for tuning in to OnToReviews. I hope this was helpful for you. Stay tuned for more. We test products in our kitchen using real recipes so that you can make informed decisions for your own kitchen. And in the end, we want to curb returns and we want to have you invest in products that you will love and use for a lifetime. So thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more, and we'll see you soon.